Welcome to today's video in which we'll see how to carry out t-test using Excel. Before proceeding, let us understand when a t-test is generally performed. A t-test is most often done to compare the means of two samples. That is, if we want to know whether there is a statistically significant difference for a particular parameter between two samples. In life sciences, a p-value above 0.05, it is inferred that there is no statistically significant difference. And a p-value less than 0.05, it is inferred that there is a statistically significant difference. P-value less than 0.05 corresponds to 95% level of confidence. P-value less than 0.01 corresponds to 99% level of confidence. And P-value less than 0.001 corresponds to 99.9% level of confidence. T-test may be done for an unpaired sample or for a paired sample. So in t-test unpaired, usually you have two independent or unrelated samples. So suppose we have an experimental design where we have two groups of animals and we want to see if a high protein diet is increasing the weight of animals. You will initially start off with the weights which are quite similar in both the groups. Then in one group you will administer a high protein diet and in another group you give a normal diet. So these are two unrelated or independent samples. After a period of administration, then you will measure the weights again and then you will compare the weights in the sample. Go for t-test unpaired. Whereas, if it is the same sample which is studied in different scenario, we go for t-test paired. So, for example, if we are studying the efficacy of an iron tonic and a group of people are our sample, if you measure the HB levels prior to starting the administration, then you administer the tonic and again take the HB levels after administration for a period of time. Now, when you want to compare and see whether the iron tonic is really good, then you compare the two HBs using a t-test paired. So if we have to do t-test using Excel, we have two ways of doing it. One is using the insert functions option. So you click on FX. You have different categories of tests that you can do, and in that box you choose statistical, and then you have a list of tests under statistical. So we have to move on to t-test. So choose t-test and then click on OK. Now we can first do it for unpaired. So you have array 1, you have to feed in the data which you got from the first sample, and array 2 you feed in the second set of data which you got from your second sample. Tails, we have to feed in whether we want a one-tail t-test or a two-tail t-test. A two-tail t-test compares both ends of the distribution. It is thought to be more rigorous for determining statistical significance, so you can choose two-tail t-test. And then you have types where you have to choose one, you have to feed in 1 if you need a paired t-test. 2 sample equal variance means feed in number 2, and 2 sample unequal variance feed in number 3. All these are given below the boxes, so you can read it and then you can feed your data. And once you have done a descriptive analysis and I know that the standard deviation and variance is not same, I can choose 3 here in this case. Now I get the result directly. What I get is the p-value which is 0.03. So I know that it is less than 0.05. So I know there is a statistically significant difference. So this is the advantage of doing t-test in Excel or any other statistical pack. Because you directly get the p-value. Whereas when we are doing manually, you will get the t-value, you will compute the t-value and then you have to compare it with the table value, and only if your calculated value is above the table value, you can accept that there is a statistically significant difference. So you have to see at each level of significance like 0.05, 0.01, etc. And you have to see whether your calculated value is greater than the table value. But here directly you get the p-value, so you know whether there is a statistically significant difference or not. Now, in the same box, we can even do t-test paired. Reason is you have to just mention whether you need paired or unpaired in the fourth box. So, I am using the same dialog box. Array 1 prior and array 2 you can choose after. So, array 1 I have chosen prior. So, the two sets of data you can feed it. So tails again is 2, but here type I am going to feed in number 1, that is for paired sample analysis. So again I have got my p-value here, which is 0.02. So again it is less than 0.05, so it is statistically significant. So this is how we do t-test in Excel using the insert function option. You can also do it with a data analysis pack, and how to download data analysis pack I have mentioned in my previous video, and I have also given the steps one by one in the description box of that video, so you can check that. And once we have installed the data analysis pack, you will see it at the right end of the data. You can click on it and you have a list of tests. Here you have separately t-test paired, you have separate for 2 sample equal variance, 2 sample unequal variance. So that is the only difference. There you had one box which opened up and you had to choose whatever you wanted, whereas here you have 3 different tests given. So let me choose t-test paired first and click on OK. Now I have to feed in my data. A range, first range will be the data prior and the next one will be after. So click on that. Alpha is 0.05 here, and then I want my output in a new worksheet. I can choose that option and then I click on OK. So now this is the result for my t-test using data analysis pack. This I did for paired t-test. So you get the mean of both the samples and you get the variance of both the samples. You get the number of observations. You also get Pearson's correlation coefficient, degrees of freedom, and you get your statistical value t, and for one-tailed t-test you get the p-value. For two-tailed t-test also you get the p-value. Okay, and the table values are also mentioned. So here again, if you see two-tailed t-test, I have got 0.02, same as which I got in the insert functions option. So this is how you get your output. Now, if I have to do a t-test unpaired, I have to choose that particular test from the data analysis pack, because here each test you have to choose differently. So again, I am using 2 sample unequal variance. I am choosing that particular test and I am clicking on OK. And the first range will be from my data set from my first sample, and the next one is from your second sample, and alpha 0.05, and I need a new worksheet result. OK. So similarly, just like in the previous case, for t-test unpaired also I have got the means, I have got the variance, and I've also got the number of observations, which is the sample size, degrees of freedom, and the calculated t-stat value, table values, and for one-tailed and two-tailed I have got my p-value. So if you note here, I have got 0.03, just like I got it from the insert functions option. So this is how you can do the t-test, either using insert function or using the data analysis pack in Excel. Thank you.